Namaste, everyone. Michelle Granberg here. Welcome to another episode of Positive Energy, bringing enlightening television for your evolving soul. On this show, we're talking about animal welfare. Animal welfare is based on the belief that non-human animals are sentient, and therefore preventing humans from causing their suffering is a moral obligation worthy of our fullest consideration. This means that while under human care, we must put formal standards in place with attention to their health and well-being. Stay with us as I'm joined by Annie Trinkle of the Animal Alliance of New Jersey. Positive Energy starts right now. Hey, so I'm here with Annie Trinkle, Executive Director of Animal Alliance of New Jersey. Annie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us today.
It is so nice to have you. And who have you brought with you? This is Rudolph.
Yes, this is Rudolph. He's all dressed for the holidays, as you can see, and he's awaiting adoption at our adoption center.
So what kind of dog is he, do you think?
I think he's a good old-fashioned mutt. A mixed breed, I would guess maybe spaniel, maybe a little hound, maybe some lab, but mixed breed.
How's his temperament? Seems
well, you
so
can see he's very
and
gentle. We told him on the way
calm.
over, be a good boy, so he's not barking or fussing. He's very sweet.
I think he would make a wonderful addition to
Yes,
anybody's
he
home,
would.
especially for the holiday.
Absolutely.
Any time of year.
Of course. And he'll grow to be about 50 pounds at full maturity. So as cute as he is now, he won't be a lap dog for long. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Animal Alliance of New Jersey and what you do and what you stand for and all of that good stuff. Let's start with what is the mission and purpose of Animal Alliance?
Well, our mission statement says in part that we find euthanasia to be a completely unacceptable fate for animals who will lose their lives due to overpopulation in our nation's shelters. That's just not workable for us. So at Animal Alliance, we believe each one of those animals deserves a chance, and our mission is to rescue them, bring them into our own shelter or our foster care network, to spay and neuter them, rehabilitate whatever medical needs they have, and get them out the door to a speedy adoption in a short period of time.
Yeah. So that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a big mission. And there's a lot of pieces to that.
Yes, there sure
are. And I
are.
know you need a lot of people to help you with that. So let's talk a little bit more about that. But first, let's start with sort of what animal welfare is, because I know we hear the term, but what is it? What does animal welfare mean to you?
Well, to me, animal welfare means treating animals with the respect and dignity they deserve, and also helping to provide for their basic needs. So their health and well-being is such a paramount importance. So making sure they're spayed and neutered, they're up to date on their vaccines, and that they're living happy lives in homes.
Just like you and I.
Yes,
so
right.
It's basically for them, making sure that they're, like you said, all their basic needs, that they're happy, they're healthy, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Exactly.
In every way. So it's good to know that programs in places like yours exist. You know, that we're trying to take care of our dogs and cats. Not always the case for other animals, not always the case in the past. But what you've been in this for a while, what positive changes have you personally seen in animal welfare over the past however many years, 5 years to 20 years?
Sure. Well, I got into animal welfare in the late 90s, so I have a good perspective. It's been about 25 years, and certainly things have changed dramatically. For example, when we opened our Planned Parenthood low-cost spay-neuter clinic, which was about 15 years ago, at that time, well over 100,000 animals a year in New Jersey were euthanized in the statewide in shelters. And last year, I'm happy to report the number was more around 6,000. So you can see that things have gone straight down. So that's a huge, huge change. Also, I think adopting a pet has become, more fashionable than buying one. I think people see that morally and ethically, the right thing to do is when adding a pet to your family, is to consider pet adoption. It's not right in every single case, but we see tremendous more. Oh, he's not feeling that good. Sorry about that. He's sorry. I thought he was going to throw up.
Oh no.
But we see much more much more interest in pet adoption.
Have you seen a decrease in breeding of dogs?
Well, I think that that's kind of a national issue to tackle. I think the puppy mills still persist, and but locally, I think it's. I have not seen a backyard breeder in a good long time in our area.
And do you think there's a relationship between this adopt, don't shop becoming more popular and the
Definitely.
decrease of breeders?
I think it's like supply and
Less
demand,
right?
with everything else.
It's supply and demand. Yeah. So I would like to believe that there's lots of hope and that you're hopeful.
Absolutely.
You know, that you're making a difference every single day. So what's on the horizon for the changes within animal welfare? What movements are afoot, and what would you personally like to see?
Well, I think on a national level, there's been a huge crackdown on puppy mills. And I think that that's very, very important piece of the pie is careful regulation of puppy mills. Personally, what I would like to see is more people spay and neuter their pets, and also to consider veganism, because that is a true animal-friendly way of life.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I'm also vegan, and what that means is that we do our utmost best to not do anything that will harm animals.
That's right.
That includes eating them, wearing them, using them, visiting places that exploit them, across the board, all species.
That's right.
So, you know, connect the dots, or the connection between animal welfare, animal liberation, animal rights, and veganism.
Right. So, to me, it's a very linear equation. A cat is a dog, is a pig, is a cow. So I would never roast a dog for Thanksgiving. I wouldn't dream of it. It's horrifying. So it's the same way, you know, it's the same to me when people say they're roasting a turkey for Thanksgiving. I find that, you know, abhorrent and offensive. But, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't see it that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're still in the minority.
Yes.
People's eyes seem to be closed, and there's just so much tradition and conditioning behind all that, that we draw these arbitrary lines between species, that we love one, bring them into our home.
Right, and eat the other.
And we slaughter and eat the others. But I hope that the wave of the future will be that that this will change.
I think it will be, because honestly, if you just look at the array of non-dairy milks that are now available just in the last couple of years, I mean, there's like 15 different kinds of nut milk and hemp milk and all this other stuff. So I think that really shows just anecdotally how many more people are becoming vegan. And it's not just for moral and ethical reasons. A lot of people do it for their health.
Reasons, right.
I've heard so often of doctors prescribing a vegan diet for heart disease and other kinds of issues. So
yeah, it's been proven to be one of the best diets for everybody in all ways.
Exactly.
And you're right, there's so many new brands and options for people, so there's not a lot of excuses.
Oh no. Us vegans eat well.
Yes,
that's for sure.
We don't go hungry.
That's for sure.
And we don't sacrifice taste or texture or anything like that. That's just a big myth.
It's so true.
Oh, well, thank you for that, for having that stance and bringing that into the world, and as well as, you know, into what you do.
Yes.
These beautiful animals.
Oh, look at Rudolph's trying to audition. He wants somebody to choose him,
dressed
right?
up for the holiday. He just wants to go to someone's home.
Yes.
Yes. So you mentioned the Planned Pethood. I love that, instead of Planned Parenthood. The Planned Pethood and low-cost spay-neuter program. Tell us about that. Why is it so important to spay-neuter?
Well, it occurred to us, which again, probably belatedly, that we were never going to adopt our way out of the pet overpopulation problem at that time in New Jersey. And we realized such a fundamental part of things was to offer low-cost spay and neuter, because that really attacks pet overpopulation at a root cause. You know, so people that can't afford to spay and neuter their pets, invariably those pets are reproducing. We also see a tremendous number of feral cat caretakers where there's colonies like behind the ShopRite or whatever of feral cats that are just having kittens and having kittens and having kittens. So we decided to open Planned Pethood with the idea to offer high volume, high quality spay and neuter surgeries and vaccines at either low or no cost to people who really want to do the right thing for their pet but lack the funds for a full service surgery.
Do you think that cost is the biggest obstacle, or is it just more awareness, or just
I think that
taking responsibility for your pet?
I think cost is really a big chunk of it. And in fact, you know, so many local veterinarians recommend our clinic because they realize that, you know, they'll have the pet the rest of its life as a patient, but people may not be able to afford that $600 or $700 or $800 cash outlay at once.
And that's another obstacle: ongoing vet care.
Right, exactly.
Especially as they age.
Well, we offer, low-cost vaccines that helps people comply, of course, with the state law for rabies vaccines, and also keep their pets healthy overall. And our goal is to, keep pets in their homes. So if someone comes to us and say, hey, my dog has these chronic ear infections, I can't really, treat them, it's too expensive, we try to work with them to provide that low-cost care as well. But primarily, we are a spay-neuter clinic, spay-neuter and vaccine clinic.
And are you pretty busy? Do you get a lot of people taking advantage of that
program?
program?
Oh my goodness, yes. We this year will have done about 3,000 surgeries.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Do you see a lot more people abandoning their pets and dumping their pets, or not as much as it used to be, or
Definitely
not as much around here?
Not as much around here. And again, I think there's a lot of great resources for people to be able to keep their pets. So I think, there's food pantries, there's low-cost spay-neuter clinics throughout the state. So I think we're making it easier for people to hang on to their pets.
That's wonderful. So you provide those support services that make it easy for people.
Exactly.
Because it's a big responsibility. Having a dog or cat is, there's
sure
a lot to learn, especially if you're a first-time, first-time pet parent.
Tons. So we do about 1,000 adoptions a year. And we try to carefully match, adopters to pets. And we always tell them, call us, we're all volunteers. We love to talk about pets, so we try to ease the transition and be available for them.
Well, let's stop here for a moment, because we're going to bring on another wonderful guest who is of the feline. So thank you, Rudolph.
Okay.
Best of luck to you. We know you're going to find a wonderful new home.
Oh, thank you so much. Now it's time for Tinsel the Cat.
Let's bring Tinsel on. Well, now we're here with Tinsel, a beautiful black kitty. So tell us about Tinsel.
Well, Tinsel is very, very luxurious, soft, special boy. He lost his home when his people were forced to move into low-cost housing that did not allow a pet. So he's been with us for a couple of months, and unfortunately he falls into the category of a black animal, and a lot of times black cats and dogs are just passed over just because of their color. Not because of any superstitious belief, but people like shiny and bright and blonde and spotted and so forth. So when an animal's jet black, sometimes they're passed over, and I think that's what has happened with our sweet little Tinsel.
Such an interesting psychological phenomenon.
I know.
I know they've shown that. I've read that. That there really is truth in that. So is it fairly common, the reasons that Tinsel came to you, is that fairly common when someone's housing changes, their lifestyle changes, and then they can no longer care for their animals? And we want people to not feel ashamed of that.
No, right.
And to reach out to you to come. That's why you're there.
Of course. Yeah, nothing is more tragic than when an animal is abandoned in desperation. And a lot of times, people leave an animal in a carrier outside a vet office and it'll freeze overnight or something dreadful happens. So of course, we're there to help. We have, of course, our care capability. We can't, take in any more animals than we have space for, but we try to help as much as we can. So Tinsel lost his home, and he was with 2 of his cat friends who got adopted, but he's still waiting for his place.
So someone has to come.
That's right.
Yeah.
We hope.
Tinsel's family is still out there. How old is Tinsel, do you think?
He's about 2.
He's about 2 years old? Very, very beautiful. And
he's purring up a storm.
He's purring up a storm.
Oh, yeah. Look at him. This is not every cat is like this. Some are a little more aloof.
We have a motor here.
Right?
That's wonderful. Well, Tinsel, we're hoping that this will bring you a home. Let's talk about your cat adoption program specifically. Tell us about that.
Well, we are fortunate enough that PetSmart in Flemington has given us their entire cat adoption center. So we have 15 cats who reside there 24/7, and which is great because all of the retail hours, which are like from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., any shopper in the store can see our cats on full display. And it's a great, great, great way to bring our cats to the public. And it's very successful. We adopt several hundred cats a year through that program.
Wonderful. So, what's your adoption process like if someone wants to come and adopt?
We work by appointment. That started with the pandemic, but then we found it works so incredibly well that we're just sticking with it, which is the case with a lot of shelters, because really then you can give adopters your undivided attention. So we ask people to fill out a very basic, non-intrusive application online, and then we meet them and they get to meet the pet they applied for, and we can show them a couple of others if there's not like a love connection right out of the gate with the first pet they applied for. Anecdotally, we do see that virtually no one leaves with the pet they applied for. It's kind of like online dating. People see that photo and they think, oh, that's my match.
But then
and
they meet them in
right,
person,
and
not so much chemistry.
Exactly. Or we just talk to them with a basic adoption counseling and we find out, oh, you know, they run 5 miles a day and the dog they applied for is sedentary. So we try to make good matches.
Has to be a good match.
Exactly.
Good you're a part matchmaker.
Yes, and luckily we get very, very few returns because we are so careful up front in making a good match.
Yes,
Boy, he really, he likes the studio.
He's wiggling. He likes the studio.
Yes,
He's wiggling around. So what trends have you seen in adoption currently? Are there increases, decreases? Have you been watching those increases and decreases? What have you seen?
Well, we're numbers driven, just like any other business, animal welfare on the whole on a national level, but certainly at Animal Alliance. The pandemic year was just such a fortunate blessing for so many of these animals. The silver lining truly was that people were working at home, and the reason they had postponed pet ownership over the years was busy schedules, work schedules, kids' sports, and all that. And when that was completely wiped away with the pandemic, people were saying, let's get a pet, you know? So we really saw a tremendous uptick nationally, as well as locally, in pet adoption, and that was very, very fortunate. And then, you know, there's kind of this myth that, oh, those pandemic pets are going to be returned. Really, we've only seen one returned, because by now the pets have ingratiated themselves with the family, they're house trained, and they're part of the family. So even as people are going back to work, people always worked. So, and pets sleep most of the day. So people are, you know, realizing that, and they're going back to work without incident.
So what are some tips that you have so that pet parents really can help introduce new pets into the home and make it successful relationships and help them to integrate and to assimilate to a new place?
So you mean with the family's existing pets?
Well, both, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they're the sole pet and bringing in with an existing pet.
Well, we always tell people the first week will be rough. You know, it's like bringing a baby home from the hospital, an infant child.
Don't judge by the first week.
Exactly. We say, you know, so you can call us, but, you know, really try to reserve judgment until after that week is over. And, you know, it's just getting the cadence and rhythm of the household kind of imprinted on the pet. And everyone has a different schedule. So our dogs go from their shelter schedule. Some people get up at 5 in the morning. Some people get up at 9 in the morning. So just patience and really, I guess, patience is about it. And getting used to the pet and the pet getting used to them.
And just understanding that whatever's happening is normal.
Exactly.
You don't need to panic, and it's not going to last forever.
So
this
true.
is just like humans. We have a transition time. We're getting accustomed to a new environment, a new place, new people, new routines.
It's so true. Yep.
So they need time to unfold and to get comfortable and to relax.
Yes, exactly.
To get used to the new sights and the new smells, just like in the studio here.
Yes, right. And Tinsel feels very at home. We'll be perfectly happy to stay here forever. Just set up a litter pan over there, some food and water.
Yeah, so what are some of the resources or organizations that you recommend? I imagine you have lots of strategic alliances, and it's a village. It takes a village to take care of animals. It takes, you know, a network. So talk about your network of other resources or other organizations and give them a shout out.
Well, in New Jersey, we're very fortunate. All us shelters work very nicely together. And similar to how car dealerships work, if an animal's not getting adopted at one shelter, very possible by changing the geography, that pet might get adopted immediately. So we have been very fortunate to have a great relationship with Save right here in Princeton, and also Outcast Rescue, which is kind of in Hunterdon County. We have also worked with St. Hubert's very successfully, and we swap animals. And you should hear us on the phone. It's like, let's make a deal. Like, I got one big dog, I'll take 3 small dogs. So, but it's
like a
very,
card game.
Exactly. But it's very fortunate. A lot of times we have dogs that have been kicking around for a while, and we send them to another shelter. They get adopted immediately, and vice versa for the other shelters.
What do you think that is? It's just that people are watching the websites and they see new dogs or new pets come on?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's
that?
like real estate. You know, they say if a listing's on too long, it becomes like stale, and people think, oh, there must be something wrong with that house because it's been online for 2 weeks. It's the same thing with animals. People, you know, who really are looking for a pet say like, oh, I saw that dog, you know, last week. Must be something wrong. But it starts in a fresh environment, the whole new catchment area. It seems to work really well.
How do you capitalize on social media, and how is social media working in terms of helping adoptions? huge, right?
Huge, tremendous. It's changed the landscape of animal welfare permanently and forever. I mean, really, just the ability to put photos on Facebook and Instagram and people fall in love. And that's how our world works anymore. You know, people, they don't even want to get off the couch. They want to shop at home for their pet and look online. And that's very, very critical. And it also helps raise awareness about animal welfare and what we do and animals in need and so forth. And a lot of times people, they can't adopt or they can't be a foster home, but they can contribute financially or they can collect supplies. So I think by constantly highlighting the plight of the animals awaiting adoption in shelters, that it really helps motivate people to do something.
Yeah. So imagine you've seen a lot of sad cases, you know, sad incidents when animals come to you or you become aware of them or hoarding. So how do you manage that, and how do you help the animals to recover from those maybe more traumatic experiences?
Well, definitely in animal sheltering and welfare, there's something called compassion fatigue, where you see so much depravity and so much unkindness people towards their pets. But the antidote to that is invariably the opportunities to cross paths with people, great people we never would have otherwise met. And our adopters are so amazing. And we always kind of say to the pets, like, life is chapters, just like for humans. We can go through some terrible, terrible times and triumph over them. And so I just feel like when an animal comes in having been neglected or directly abused, you know, our hope for them is that we're going to find them such a great life that will be a distant past.
Yeah.
It'll be like a bad breakup for people. It'll be like it never happens. You know,
and
once you move past it.
Does it seem that their short-term, their long-term memory is not the same as ours? That they forget it, or are they just very resilient, or does it depend?
And I think that, you know, we sometimes see animals that have triggers, you know, where they've been, you know, directly abused, and there's certain things we say like, oh, it must have been a guy in a hat, because, you know, when they have a very strong reaction. But a lot of times we just see the amazing resiliency of animals. They love people. So we've had animals come in that have been set on fire that are wagging their tails and, you know, running towards us, still so trusting. So it's a very humbling experience working on behalf of animals.
That's what keeps you going.
Yes.
All those success stories, all
Absolutely.
those heartwarming stories,
Totally.
all those recovery stories,
They far
healing
outweigh.
stories. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So we love it. Let's see, just a couple more questions. We'll start to wind down, but what do you need help with?
Well,
what's your ask
as
today?
you
Donations
said,
and fosters and volunteers,
all of
etc.
that. Exactly. The village you described earlier is so true. We absolutely could not do what we do without our network of foster homes, our volunteer dog walkers, our volunteer cat socializers, our, you know, foster parents by far and away are critically important to what we do, but so are the rank and file volunteers who help us in the office with the veterinary paperwork, who help us in the clinic, clean instruments. There's all kinds of things. And then there's people that really, because of their lifestyle, can't do any of that, so they send us money, and that's very, very helpful as well.
So I hope that list of opportunities rings a nice bell for people
Yes.
to get involved.
Absolutely. We need you out there. If you fill out a volunteer application on our website, we have a volunteer orientation every 2 weeks, and we will put you to work.
Yeah, you'll match them up with a good role,
Absolutely.
a position that works for them.
Yeah. We have about 100 very active volunteers. So
What a nice number, 100. That's wonderful.
we'd like to double it.
Okay then.
We've got our work cut out for us.
You do indeed, but that's, hey, it's worth going for. So as we start to close with Tinsel here,
Oh my goodness.
what's your final message for our audience?
Well, I would say to open your heart to a pet in need. We hear every day, we get notes and cards and letters from people that took a chance. And they often say, I didn't think I was an animal person, or I wasn't ready to adopt another dog after mine died. But I did, and now it's been life-changing. I mean, we really and truly, if people don't feel ready to jump into the deep end of the pool, so to speak, and adopt a pet, fostering is a great way to save a life. And over the years, we've seen so many foster parents become friends with the people who adopt their pet, and they stay in touch. So it's a really nice experience for people and animals if you're willing to take a chance.
Beautiful. So take a chance. Adopt, don't shop.
That's
Go
right.
to you or a shelter near you. as pet parents, we know that animals they just enrich our lives in so many ways. They open your heart in so many ways. They introduce you to levels of love that you never could have imagined otherwise.
That's so
It's
true.
absolutely beautiful. So that's a beautiful final message.
Yes.
We also maybe want to ask people to go vegan so you don't contribute
Absolutely.
to harming animals at the very least.
So true.
Don't
And then
contribute to harm. Help when you can, as much as you can.
it's very true. And besides, just the emotional and psychological benefits of owning a pet or being a pet guardian, there's the physical benefits. If you get a dog, you will exercise every day, whether you like it or not. And, animals have been shown time and again that they reduce blood pressure, that you're more apt to sit down and have quiet moments with your pet, and it's kind of get into a meditative state. So there's lots and lots of reasons
and
to
the
continue.
touch, the petting, and the soft.
Absolutely.
There's something that releases those happy chemicals in us.
So true.
And for them as well.
Absolutely. So there's lots of reasons to adopt or
And it's
foster
the
a
best
pet.
when you come home and they run to greet you
Well,
at the door.
Absolutely.
That's
Like
the
they
best.
haven't seen you in a million years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where have you been? You're
That's
home.
right.
Well, Annie, thank you so much.
Thank you for this great opportunity.
For bringing these beautiful beings onto Positive Energy today, and for all the good work that you're doing over at Animal Alliance of New Jersey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jinkle.
Okay.
We're wrapping up another enlightening show. Let's remember the golden rule we all learned as children. Treat others as you yourself would like to be treated. And please include all animals of all species in this universal circle of compassion. Thank you, Monday Morning Flowers, for the beautiful floral arrangement. Thank you for watching. Check out michellegranberg.com, go vegan, and join me next time on Positive Energy.